Hi folks, we are Sophie and Filipe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers. Currently we're setting up our second regenerative farm in Central Portugal, where we grow food for our local community and share our knowledge both on the land and in the kitchen. On this channel we take you along on the farm's development and we show you how we grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, delicious food. In a time where the food we're eating is literally killing us, the most powerful and impactful action one could take is to consume nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, clean food. Let's grow it, let's cook it, let's do it. Hi guys, we're back. We've had a wonderful time to unwind over the Christmas and holiday season, and we hope you did the same. In the new year, what else to do than look back at all the hard work that you've done and sort of make a recap to take it all in and move forward with new strength. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to show you everything we've done since we arrived to Portugal. So bear with us, because in the beginning our camera skills were and also there was quite a lot that we've just filmed with private phones. So we're going to give you all the behind the scenes of our journey as arriving, and then all it took to set up our new farm, homestead and this YouTube channel. All right, take it away. Upon arrival, the first thing we needed to do was renovate the townhouse. This we bought from Filipe's family and we're going to use as a fallout base from which we were going to set up the entire farm. It was very dark, claustrophobic and leaking here and there, so a real fixer-upper. Here is footage that we sparingly made during the process. We stripped the insides, plastered the walls, put in a mezzanine, a roof window, we insulated it, and then we put in a new floor, all with the help of Filipe's brother Renato. It took about 5 months to renovate this little building, and this is the cozy little home we made of it. As soon as the house was done, we could finally move on to starting the project on the land, something we were definitely craving for. Our farm is divided into 3 adjacent pieces of land, and we started with the first piece we managed to purchase. So phase 1 began. Clearing all the brambles and recuperating an old barn for as little money as possible. Setting up basecamp is what we called it. After much trimming and clearing, we managed to transform an overgrown jungle into a functional workshop area. One side of the barn needed a new roof, and we used some old wood from the townhouse renovation to resurrect it. This building also got a floating floor to keep our tools from touching the wet ground, and once we were done, we went from this to this. I know it doesn't win a beauty prize, but it is very functional. Simultaneously, we also set up our polytunnel to have more space to store things in and to start building up our first little veg plot. This was because we were dying for our own fresh veg, and so we set up what we still refer to now as the test garden. We had placed an old swimming pool a little higher up and were pumping it full with water from the well to gravity feed our new veg plot. We built 12 6-meter no-dig beds with wood-chipped paths and then set out to clean the well. This job was very dirty, but Filipe's brother and our good friend Aaron helped us to get the job done. Afterwards, the well filled up much more easily and we were able to easily irrigate our test garden. Filipe had planted the garden immediately, and in the months to follow, we could harvest some fresh veg for the family. We then also fenced it just to keep dogs and other animals out. Basecamp was set up and we had a little place to grow food, but now was the time to start filming videos for YouTube. This is when we really started having an online presence, which was nerve-wracking, I can tell you. We unloaded all our cooking gear into a temporary kitchen we had rented. There, through trial and error, we learned how to properly use the camera and finally got our first cooking video up and published. The lighting and sound was rough back then, and we really appreciate everybody that stuck with us during those times. But luckily we got better with every video. Meanwhile, on the land the work continued. Filipe and Renato kept clearing brambles, chipping old wood that was lying around, and we also started propagating trees right away. We grew things from cuttings, from seed, and by digging out plants from neighbors, family and friends. Then we moved on to fencing the property. This was done with the help of a company and two very good friends, James and Cameron, who helped clear the entire perimeter of the land. This was such a tiring job that we were really lucky to have them help. The poles were whacked in using a hydraulic hammer on a tractor. The downside though of using the company was that they impacted a lot of the land negatively. We were so busy doing so many things at the same time: clearing, growing, filming, cooking, negotiating about neighboring property, visiting municipal offices, lawyers and such, that Filipe was not always present to keep them from zigzagging across the land. This I consider still one of our biggest fails in our entire project. And if I could turn back time, I would turn it back to this moment to keep that from happening. But on the upside, the fence ended up looking spectacular and is very straight and sturdy. Later into our adventure, Filipe and Renato also fenced a lot more from the top whole property, and they did that with their bare hands and our car, and that impact was a lot less devastating. More. That's not better to go there on this side of that stone? Why not the flute? A big moment in year one was of course also when our compost arrived. Alright, so it's a very exciting day today. We're going to be receiving our compost, which is 26 big bags of fertility, imported fertility. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, maybe I'll stand still for a moment. Sorry for making you seasick watching that. Yeah, let us show you. I'm very excited. In order to set up our garden for production, we needed a big quantity of compost. So we ordered 26 or 28, who remembers, big bags of compost to build up our first professional garden. This happened on a gloomy day and was done with the help of 3 different companies. As the company selling the compost did not arrange transport, and the second transport company's truck was too big to deliver directly to the farm, so logistically this was quite the challenge. In the end, they delivered the compost to the industrial zone in Penamacor, and then another company took it from there to our farm where it was unloaded. The same day, a lot of our trees arrived. Filipe had measured out the contour lines in the areas where we were planning on planting these trees. In total, we planted over 100 trees that we purchased and many more we propagated. The trees are a mixture of fruits and nuts, and we ended up planting them by hand with the help of 2 other friends. Planting them on contour like we did means we are slowing down the flow of water on a slope, and we are maximally making use of the rain from the heavens. Over time, these trees will mature, drop down their organic matter and increase the shading areas, leading to even better water retention. We also planted new trees at the front part of the farm where we have our old vineyard. For all our trees we used mycorrhizal fungi to speed up the root growth and establish the plants faster. This is done by simply soaking the root systems in a mixture of fungi and water for at least 15 minutes prior. The plant holes were made nice and deep, and each tree got gifted a nice amount of compost on top of a weed suppressing layer of carton, and then was topped off with a generous amount of wood chips we had from clearing the land. Happy little tree. Then it finally happened. We got the last part of the farm into our possession. It took a while, so we immediately started clearing the brush and overgrown vines in the water lines. The debris was either chipped or burned, and it was quite the task. We were trying to make sure the water lines would be clear, so that when the wet season arrived, we would have much less to no flooding in the fields, which meant we could safely build up our first garden. In order to start the gardens, we had the land cleared with a tractor by our neighbor, who leveled it out for us. Then we moved the polytunnel to its new spot.
Clean everything.
After the moving of the tunnel, it was time to start the build of our first plot of no-dig garden. Over the past 2 years, we extended the first plot 3 times in order to keep up with demand of veggie sales. This was always done by first measuring out our standard 10-meter beds, then tarping the whole. After a while, we would then add wood chips in the paths and add compost onto the beds before planting them. Our irrigation setup is very basic. We mostly pump water to higher points on the land and then gravity feed it back into the system. Filipe set up all drip irrigation in the gardens and we installed electric pumps in 2 of our wells. We had a digger dig out the main 2 creeks on our land, and we installed a pipe so that we could pass from one side to the other with a vehicle. We also in the beginning had the boreholes that were present tested for capacity. This was necessary so we could figure out how many trees we could plant, taking into consideration the limited water supply. Our next big development was the renovation of the top hill building. Part of this house had been lived in by people, but it was very basic, and the other half was used as a sheep stable. The roof was made out of tin and there was no shaded area around it. We set out to renovate it completely and went about clearing the inside completely and ripping out the shabby interior structures. We pulled out the straw from the ceiling and brought in light by adding in windows. Then we added the structure around the building to provide us with more shade. Because it gets so hot and wet here, we opted for a metal structure and tiles. This is the more durable route to take here where we live. After the terrace structure, we laid the tiles, and then it was time to move in our professional kitchen to complete it for amazing cooking and filming sessions to come. It was right around that time that we found Tigre. This is the red street cat we found who had been hit by a car and whose leg was rotting away while still attached to its body. I know. Eek! We took him off the streets and took care of him, waiting for the local vet to arrive in his office. We then had his leg amputated and nursed him back to health. The moment he was able to walk though, he went straight back to his street life. And we're always very pleased to see him around in the village, still alive and kicking. But Tigre, of course, has not been the only animal in our farm story. Quite early on in our adventure, we started bringing animals onto the farm. Besides our 2 loyal dogs and our first sheep Freddy, who was gifted to us, we almost immediately brought laying hens onto the farm, a small flock for home consumption. Then we moved on to meat birds, and later on we got a herd of sheep. In these past few years, we have built chicken trailers and raised birds in different areas on our farm. We also do a lot of home slaughtering for our own consumption. All our animals are pasture raised, and in our regenerative system, we move them around on a daily basis. In order for that to work, we needed to level out our areas on the land and combat some of that compaction I have mentioned earlier in the video. Our neighbor did that at the beginning of 2024 with his tractor, making it much easier for Filipe to move both the fences and chicken coops. Here is a compilation of him moving both over and over again. Filipe, I love you.
Gracias.
I'm standing in front of the location where we're going to be moving our old and ugly compost heaps to. I'm very excited about the move since it's going to be not only aesthetically pleasing, but also in terms of infrastructure and time management. This is going to be a much better location for our compost heaps. We have the vegetable garden here on our left side, and then right under this beautiful oak tree, we'll have our compost heaps ready to be used when we need to introduce some new compost for next year onto our gardens. So we are going to be building our compost heaps with these reutilized pallets, second-hand pallets. We got these pallets from a good friend this week. We took our trailer, hooked it onto the back of the car, went to the work and loaded them all up. Then we also needed to purchase some poles, so we went to a massive wood yard and we bought 16 of these beautiful 2.5 meter long poles, untreated, quite rough, not that expensive, but perfect for our compost heap. We unloaded them all and then got to work. As you can tell, I'm very excited about this shed. Let me run you guys through the progress of this shed. Last time you guys laid eyes on this shack was 2 or 3 episodes ago. It was structurally sound and it's big enough to hold animals, but it didn't have any gates or doors in it, and it was very ugly to look at. A lot of progress has been made on the farm this week, and that is due to the fact that our good friend came over from Scotland. Aaron is a real gift from heaven. He's not only kind and funny, but he's also very strong and doesn't quit. So he's the perfect farm hand, and he has come over to spend his holidays with us to help us tie up all these loose ends. In preparation to his coming, Filipe and I actually went to the lumber yard to get all the wood we needed for this project. What are we getting?
Wood.
Well, there you can see that this ugly shack is no longer, and the sheep have now got a luxurious wooden chalet, and we've got our beautiful Aaron. Aaron, are you alright being bare-chested on the internet? If I must. It's definitely a plus to this episode. So this is very much an aesthetical makeover, and it's sort of reminding me of that BBC show, I think it was, where people get to like give up their partners or friends and then they get like clothed again by two ladies. I don't remember the name of the show, but I feel like this shack has just undergone a serious transformation and has become a lot more attractive. So if there's any other shacks out there looking for a partner, I've got a really nice one for you. That welding machine is really coming in handy, yeah?
Right. Now they can live in luxury.
Eyesore number 2. This will be done also soon. They're going to be moving all these stones out. Two men shoveling shit. Amazing! Here it is. So the compost heaps are done. Let's move on to project number 3 and build ourselves a herb garden. Phase 1 was clearing the area and covering it with a thick layer of cow manure. It's hard to believe that almost a full year has passed since we built up the garden. We've done a lot that has brought me joy on the farm, but the herb garden was one of those projects I was most excited about. So this is a true testimony how with the right mindset and some hard work, you can literally turn a pile of shit into something amazing. Once phase 1 was finished, we moved on to phase number 2, which was the placing of the cardboard and the imported organic compost. The carton serves as a weed barrier and the compost as a substrate to grow in. So this is the stage that it's at right now. The manure is on, the carton is on, and the compost is on. We're going to be making some borders. There's going to be loads of delicious aromatic herbs in this garden. It's going to be amazing. As you can tell, I was super excited about this stage, but then of course we still needed to move on to building the paths and the fence, and so that is exactly what we did. Filipe and Aaron worked super hard to finish the garden and to get it ready for planting. First they added weed tarp at the edges to keep weeds and grasses from growing in. Then the paths were created using wood chips before moving on to the building of the fence. We used our own mimosa from the farm. This invasive, non-native tree is actually quite useful on our land, as we use it for a lot of things, like this for instance, or to cover our paths with the wood chips. The build of our herb garden was a great experience and we really worked hard. By the end of the first stretch, we had about 70% of the garden finished. Then we took a moment and later we finished the final part of it. We did this together with Aaron and our dear friend Vittoria. Over time, the plants have evolved immensely and many fresh herbs have been added to our weekly veggie box. Flowers have enriched our lives with their wonderful colors and smells, and insects have had a jolly old time in the garden. It's very hot, but I mean very, very hot. It's 38 degrees out, and I'm gonna take you guys down to where the sheep are because they must also be very, very hot and they are about to be saved because we're going to shear them. So let's go and shear some sheep. This year, our neighbors also brought over their sheep to be shorn at our barn in order to make the workflow more efficient for our shearer. The shearer worked fast and carefully manscaped our ram, which must have been a nerve-wracking experience for him, I imagine. After the shearing session, our sheep and ram looked refreshed and happy with their new look. Once we had our vegetable production up and running, we needed a better washing, packing and cooling station. So Filipe and his brother set out to lay the concrete for it. A first time laying affair, which went surprisingly well. Once the roof was installed, we added a bit more concrete slab to finish off the whole setup. We initially wanted to put gravel there, but then later on decided against it. We have an air conditioning system, we hooked up water and we installed some workbenches. Now it's a functional space. We do, however, still want to improve it further, but all in good time.
So Lucas never did this. It's his first time doing this. And look how smooth it looks like. How smooth it is.
Smooth like butter, like a criminal.
Are you happy with it, Lucas?
Yeah,
For the first time?
first time it's okay.
Not bad, I can tell you.
bad.
I've had my first time and I tell you, it was not pretty as this one.
Our most shocking event since we are here is definitely Filipe needing to be operated on to have part of his meniscus removed. It got torn and dislocated. We went to hospital in Coimbra to have him be operated on, and he underwent the whole thing in a very good spirit. I was less brave than him, but then again, he was of course also highly medicated. His mood after surgery was really adorable. That's very nerve-wracking. He's much more brave than I am. He was very tranquil. I'm just gonna lay here in the bed, wait for him.
I feel that I'm floating.
Strong drugs.
Yeah,
For a natural guy, this is quite impactful.
very impactful. I feel my knee inside, you know, like inside, like
Yeah.
somebody was playing with it.
Yeah, playing on the inside. You want to say it in Portuguese? Tegen die moeder gewoon, ik ben levend, alles gaat goed.
Gaat tudo bem, acho eu. Estou a acordar.
Falamos depois. Está tudo bem com ela.
Isso.
Wacht. Je betadine? As you can imagine, that really put a strain on the year of 2024. It led to him being a lot less mobile and me needing to take on more work. But all in all, I think we dealt with it like champs. Filipe still isn't as good as before, but with time we hope he will fully recover. The final project I will share in this recap is our winemaking adventure. This is a tale that went a lot different than expected. Our farm has quite a lot of old vines on it, so we were eager to try and make some wine. Before we ever started with that though, we wanted to clear the old concrete poles that were situated in our old vineyard, and so that's what we did. It was heavy work and we ended up reusing the poles for a bridge project we did on the farm. When the first big harvest came around in year 1, we, together with Kevin, Ruti and Aaron, harvested all the grapes. We had access to equipment of family to press, ferment and store the wine. So that is what we did. We were total novices, so I was skeptical about the quality we could produce. And it turned out that this was rightfully so, because when the time came to try it, it was very weak and acidic. And to make matters worse, Midway through the storing process, we were forced to move the wine as the garage in which it was maturing had been sold. So Filipe and Lottie moved it to the garage of Filipe's nan. Long story short, it was undrinkable. And what to do when you have about 400 liters of undrinkable wine? Well, you, with the help of a few dodgy family members, you know who you are, distill it into aguardiente, of course. In an old-school alambic, we made a whopping 32 liters of the stuff, which is so strong we use it mostly for cleaning. I was sad not to have some great homemade wine, but luckily we turned our luck around and now we have copious amounts of hard liquor. It's almost raining, and that exactly illustrates how long it took me to edit this video. It is 3 years of work crammed into under an hour. So it made me quite emotional seeing the kids, and as small as they were, and that 3 years have gone by already, because on one side it's gone by in a jiffy just like that, and on the other hand, yeah, it's been 3 years already, and here we are. We've got our beautiful farm, we're producing vegetables for our local community, we are making all of these videos, which I'm really grateful for that you guys enjoy. And it's been, a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where we were super tired and we questioned our own decisions. As you could tell by the video, there was a lot going on at the same time, and the creation of these videos as well takes probably way more time than anybody realizes. So that has been, I think, the steepest learning curve in this entire process, and it's been really fun just to be able to build up another farm. And of course, a farm is always a work in progress, so I look forward to seeing how it will unfold. And there are many, many more things we're going to add onto this piece of land, so I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you all for your continued support. Lottie, I didn't shout you out in the video, but you know that I couldn't have done it without you. And yeah, we have a very fun farm tour series up, which actually is not shown in this video. So check out this series here or here. I'm never quite sure where it goes. See you on the next one, The Farming Chefs. Peace out.